An essay on work-life balance.
I have long believed that a life devoted exclusively to work, however noble the task may appear, gradually corrodes the individual from within. It is not merely that long hours exhaust the body. Rather, they narrow the mind until one becomes incapable of seeing beyond the next deadline. Over the years, I have found myself drifting into this trap, persuaded, quite foolishly, that relentless effort would somehow compensate for the absence of rest, leisure, or simple human connection. Nevertheless, experience has taught me that such a belief is not only misguided, but fundamentally self-defeating.
To speak candidly, maintaining work-life balance has never come naturally to me. I have more than once mistaken busyness for purpose and productivity for meaning. Whenever I became overwhelmed by professional obligations, I would assure myself that the sacrifice was temporary, that I simply needed to push through a little longer. But a little longer has a troubling habit of expanding into entire seasons of one's life. So I came to realize that postponing rest is a form of self-deception, one that leads inevitably to burnout.
What has troubled me most is the subtle way in which imbalance alters one's character. Prolonged overwork breeds irritability, a kind of inner brittleness that leaves one disproportionately sensitive to small frustrations. I would catch myself snapping at people I cared about, not out of malice, but out of sheer depletion. In those moments, I understood that my problem was not moral weakness, but a failure to establish boundaries, a failure, ultimately, to safeguard my own humanity. Bit by bit, I began what many psychologists now call reframing, questioning the assumptions that had kept me chained to constant labor. I challenged the notion that success is measured solely by output, or that rest must be earned through exhaustion. I discovered that leisure, far from being a frivolous luxury, is a vital condition for clarity. When I allowed myself time to think, to wander, to engage in what philosophers call fruitful idleness, I found that my mind grew more spacious and my work more deliberate.
The process has not been seamless. Even now, I feel a twinge of anxiety when I step away from tasks I believe I ought to complete. But I have learned to interpret that discomfort not as a sign of laziness, but as a remnant of an unhealthy internal culture. The truth, as I see it, is that a life without rest is a life without perspective. Without space to reflect, we become prisoners of momentum, unable to distinguish what is truly essential from what merely demands our attention.
Striving for balance, therefore, is not simply a matter of scheduling. It is an act of philosophical resistance. It requires the courage to assert that one's time belongs not only to the marketplace, but to one's self, that joy, contemplation, and personal relationships carry a dignity that no professional achievement can replace. And although the modern world conspires to convince us otherwise, I have come to believe that equilibrium is not only possible, but indispensable. In the end, work-life balance is not a static state, but an ongoing negotiation with one's own values. I fail at it often, sometimes spectacularly. Nonetheless, each attempt brings me a little closer to a life that feels whole rather than fragmented. To achieve such balance is not to renounce ambition,
but to situate it properly within the broader landscape of a meaningful existence. After all, work may sustain us, but it is life, in its fullest sense, its friendships, its quiet mornings, its unhurried evenings, that makes endurance worthwhile.
Thank you for listening to English Audio Lounge. We hope you have enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more audio stories and video classes to improve your English.